Welcome to The Explainer, where we take these super complex documents and turn them into clear visual guides. Today, we're diving into one of the most complicated systems out there, immigration.
If you look past all the headlines and the political noise, how does it all actually function on the ground? Well, today we're going to map out the architecture of UK immigration law. We'll do it by following a hypothetical person on their journey right through the system, from that very first application to the final goal, citizenship.
Every complex system has a foundation, right? A kind of blueprint. For UK immigration, that was drafted way back in 1971. And get this, even though the rules have changed 1,000 times since then, the core ideas from that original act, they still shape the entire system today. Okay, if you only remember one thing, make it this phrase: leave to enter or remain. It's the absolute legal cornerstone of the whole thing. It means that for anyone who isn't a British citizen, being in the UK is never a right, it's a permission. And that permission is always temporary and tied to a very specific purpose. So right away, this one idea splits everyone into two distinct groups. On one side, you've got British citizens. They have what's called the right of abode. That's an automatic, built-in right to be here. And on the other side is everyone else. They're holding limited leave. Their permission is temporary, it's full of conditions, and it defines their entire journey.
So that's the foundation. Now let's look at what's built on top of it. I want you to imagine the immigration system is this huge building, and it has dozens and dozens of different doors. So the very first challenge for any applicant, they have to find the right one.
Now, to try and bring a little order to this chaos, the rules group all these doors into a few main corridors. You've got your routes for work, your routes for family, and your routes for study. Think of this as the high-level map of the building. But here's where it just gets wild. That simple map of a few corridors, it explodes into this, a massive, sprawling list of individual appendices. And each one of these is its own highly specific pathway, with its own dense, complicated rulebook. You've got skilled worker, global talent, scale up, private life. Honestly, the list just goes on and on.
So how on earth does anyone navigate that list? Well, let's cut through the noise and look at one of the most common routes, the skilled worker. It seems complex, but it actually boils down to 3 key tests. Number 1, do you have a job offer from a licensed sponsor? 2, does that job meet the right skill and salary level? And 3, can you score enough points for things like your English skills? That's pretty much it.
Okay, so our applicant has found the right door, but now they need the keys to open it. And in immigration law, this means submitting a valid application. Now that sounds simple, but it is a notorious bureaucratic tripwire. If you get this wrong, your journey is over before it's even properly started. The rulebook is incredibly precise here. It's all laid out in paragraph 34. You need 4 non-negotiable keys to make an application valid: the right form, the right fees paid, your biometrics, like fingerprints, and your proof of ID. If even one of those is missing or wrong, the application isn't just refused, it's rejected on the spot, without ever being considered.
Anna, look, here's a perfect, almost painful example of just how strict these rules are. This is from paragraph 34K, and it's a classic trap. If you've applied to stay in the UK and then you travel abroad before you get a decision, your application is automatically withdrawn. Poof, gone. It just shows you how high the stakes are and how one tiny procedural mistake can undo everything.
So, let's say you've made it past those first hurdles. You've submitted a valid application. But now you have to face the gatekeepers. Every single case is checked against a master list of reasons for refusal to see if you're actually suitable to be allowed in.
And this master checklist, it's found in Part 9 of the rules. It splits all the reasons for refusal into 2 really critical types: mandatory grounds, where the decision maker must say no, and discretionary grounds, where they have a bit of a choice.
Now, when it comes to a mandatory refusal, the rules can be brutally black and white. Take this number, 12 months. It might look random, but it's not. It's a hard line in the sand, and it's related to one of the most serious grounds for refusal, criminality. This table shows you exactly what that means. If an applicant has ever received a prison sentence of 12 months or more, their application must be refused. There's no gray area, there's no room for discretion. The same hard line applies if you've used deception or for that big catch-all reason that your presence is not conducive to the public good. These are bright red lines in the rulebook. But let's get back to our applicant. If they can somehow navigate this maze successfully, choosing the right path, filing a perfectly valid application, and clearing all those grounds for refusal, what's at the end of this incredibly long road? Well, there is a final destination.
The journey almost always follows this exact timeline. It starts with years and years of temporary permission on a visa. Then, after a qualifying period, which is typically 5 years on many of the main routes, a person can apply for settlement. And only after they've held that settled status for at least another year can they finally take the last step, applying to become a British citizen. And this settlement status, its official name is Indefinite Leave to Remain, or ILR, is the single most important milestone in this whole process. It's that moment when someone is finally free from the ticking clock of immigration control. They can live, work, and study here indefinitely. It's not quite citizenship, but it's the absolutely essential gateway to getting there. So what is the UK's immigration system really? Is it just an impossibly complex web of rules, or is it a difficult but logical pathway with clear, even if they're unforgiving, signposts? By mapping it out like this, I think we can start to see the underlying architecture. A system that's founded on permission, that branches into dozens of routes, that's governed by strict procedural tripwires, and that leads, for a very determined few, to a final destination. Understanding that blueprint is the key to understanding the real story of immigration in the UK today. Thanks for watching.